Peace, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to the podcast. And today's podcast title is Murder Doctrine, Episode 7. Hashim Nzinga exposed the new Black Panther Party secrets is what we're going to be doing here today on this podcast. So prepare, people. As you see, we have the title and everything. We got the computer. It's going to be reading because Hananiah is not here with us today. He doesn't do these shows. He only do the biblical shows. So let me get the computer up, get it ready to start reading. How y'all doing today? I done had a beautiful week. Ever since last Friday when I got my monthly pay. It made me super happy to get my monthly pay and take care of my duties. So let's start.
Murder Doctrine Episode 7 Hashim Nzinga, the new Black Panther Party, and the universal connection to the Zulu Nation.
The universal connection to the Zulu Nation. You know, the Nation of Islam has a connection. All Black people have connections. Believe it.
Welcome to episode 7 of the YouTube Streets Info Mob series titled Murder Doctrine. The star of this episode of the Murder Doctrine series is the former national chairman of the new Black Panther Party, the now deceased Hashim Nzinga.
I'm going to y'all know we got current people claiming to be Black Panthers and all the stuff that went on with that.
Today's Murder Doctrine Episode 7 series, with its subtitle of Hashim Nzinga, the new Black Panther Party, and the universal connection to the Zulu Nation, is sure to bring some unique perspectives to the table out in these YouTube streets. In this episode, we will be discussing some well-known organizations who have operated in the so-called Black or African American community in the United States of America and abroad over decades.
Over decades, people. You see, Jesse Jackson just passed. These people been operating here ever since the days of Malcolm and Martin.
Disclaimer: the untimely death of Hashim Nzinga in 2020 was not ruled to be a murder, but instead this Murder Doctrine series episode was created to address certain doctrines or teachings with the intent to make information active in the community and to righteously kill all of the false teachings, false illumination, and misinformation that has become more prevalent in recent years on social media platforms. This Murder Doctrine series is not to glorify anyone's murder, but to effectuate change in what here has popularized as the YouTube streets. This series in the YouTube streets has an effect in the real streets right at the points that do intersect online and cyberspace.
Online and other cyberspaces. And with the 50 Cent and the T.I. beef and everything, stuff is getting more tense, people. But T.I. and 50 Cent is trying to be me. And what I did to old boy going at his mother.
To make some things clear early in this episode, I personally was able to interview Hashim Nzinga on my Israel Doctrine platforms prior to his death, which occurred in the year 2020. As well as interviewing Hashim Nzinga, I would reach out to him on a few occasions in the Facebook Messenger after interviewing him. I want to make it another point that I was introduced to Hashim Nzinga by none other than my former online partner, the Digital Pit Boss. I have been speaking more recently on the Digital Pit Boss, following my wanting to prove that Digital Pit Boss is the actual big homie in Pirupacoama, California-based gang The Bloods. Digital Pit Boss is someone who will drive Hashim Nzinga to various functions from Atlanta, Georgia, and when me and Digital Pit Boss was tearing down paradigms in the conscious community together, he introduced Hashim Nzinga to my platform, and I was able to interview and maintain a relationship with the deceased former chairman. With every episode of the Murder Doctrine series, here always uses the personal connections I have made along with the 6 degrees of separation of the social influencers in the YouTube streets and offline in order to provide the viewers with an experience that is unique to the Israel Doctrine entertainment platforms.
Nothing need to be said.
I will be taking a deep dive into some of the messages I sent to Hashim Nzinga before he died, where I was asking him to help or aid in getting to the bottom of the allegations of child sex trafficking made against Afrika Bambaataa and the Universal Zulu. Some key questions I will be asking during this episode. 1. Has the new Black Panther Party been infiltrated from within? 2. Was the new Black Panther Party used to cover up or overturn allegations of sex trafficking against organizations like the Universal Zulu Nation? 3. Is there a connection between the Universal Zulu Nation and the new Black Panther Party? 4. Was Hashim Nzinga operating under a code of silence as it relates to other Pan-African organizations? 5. Is former New Black Panther Chairman Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz a member of the Universal Zulu Nation or tied to the Zulu Nation in Africa? 6. Was a grand conspiracy brought into the YouTube streets by Hassan Campbell and assisted by various platforms in 2016 to racketeer and extort hip-hop artist when Ronald B. Stinger Savage and Hassan Campbell alleged that Afrika Bambaataa was a child sex trafficker? 7. Is what we all have witnessed online with Hassan Campbell one big counterintelligence operation?
Is it? It's currently going. See, time will tell you what things are. He didn't come to this community trying to help no abused children. As he say, he abused children.
I believe most certainly there has been a cover-up of major human rights violations which is well underway offline, and it has been imported online by non-governmental organizations like the Universal Zulu Nation and Hassan Campbell, with assistance from non-for-profits like Straight Black Pride, the Snitch Network, Hip Hop Stands with Survivors, Hip Hop Movement with not-for-profit religious organizations like ISUPK, New Covenant, G.O.C.C, and for-profit corporations like Doggy Diamonds TV, and Black News 102, Snotbox TV, 100 ENT, Vlad TV, and many others.
Many others. Many others. The YouTube street is flooded with government informants.
Is the new Black Panther Party in agreement with members affiliated with the Black Panther Party? Here is what a basic wiki search tells us about the new Black Panther Party. The new Black Panther Party, NBPP, is an American black nationalist organization founded in Dallas, Texas, in the late 1980s. Despite its name, the NBPP is not an official successor to the Black Panther Party. Members of the original Black Panther Party have insisted that the new party has no legitimacy and that there is no new Black Panther Party. The group is characterized by its departure from many of the socialist ideals of its namesake and towards New Africanism. The Anti-Defamation League, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights consider the NBPP to be a hate group, accusing the organization and its leaders of racism and anti-Semitism.
It's due to the former leader of the Black Panther Party. Y'all know him, right? Khalid. Make sure I say the D. Put it in the, down low brother voice.
I want to make it clear that even though I spoke to Hashim Nzinga personally, Israel Doctrine Entertainment LLC deals in Israelite nationalism, and by default I believe that sojourning with Israel destroys all arguments of anti-Semitism, i.e., I preach that the Bible shows us during the Exodus that people of all national origins can be nationalized in the nation of Israel by way of sojourning laws expressed in the Old and New Testament. Does the Black Panther Party of the new Black Panther Party in agreement with its members or affiliates using strategic lawsuits against public participation against indigenous people claiming to be Israelites of the Christian faith and living in North America? When I say Israelite, I do not want to be confused with those who place the term Hebrew in front or compound to identify themselves as Hebrew Israelites. I am speaking of the literal nation the Bible speaks of was formed by Hebrews and those mixed nations that left Egypt with them all becoming one nation or simply Israel after the baptism of the Red Sea as described in the biblical text. I will deal with this more in future episodes, so let us get back to the stars and reasons of this episode.
Stars and reasons of this episode, people. We got a nice little ways to go, though. There's a lot of information here. Hopefully, y'all taking y'all time listening to it. If you don't catch it the first time, listen the second time. I appreciate it.
With the recent conviction of hip-hop mogul Sean Puffy Combs in 2025 for adult sex crimes and R. Kelly and his conviction for sexual assault of minor teens, and with all the rumors that has taken place in hip-hop culture over the past over 50 years, it is no coincidence that we all have witnessed these claims that at the top of the hip-hop and entertainment culture of black excellency in the United States, many of the people participating with the mainstream and Hollywood platforms are secretly into practices of the occult, with modernized Freemasonry and the Greek fraternities and sororities being seemingly in sync, and with the Divine Nine and talented 10th Black fraternal organizations, there has been almost virtually a complete wall of silence as social influencers like Hassan Campbell tell tales of sex, money, and murder for hire against large non-governmental organizations like the Universal Zulu Nation. I believe that we are all being subjected subliminally and directly with a satanic and Luciferian cult in hip-hop culture.
Nothing need to be said, do it. What's understood need not be explained. That's what they told me when I was young. So
the satanic cult is very deep and very wide, operating behind a black veil right inside of the black or African American community and in lockstep with other races inside of rackets and operating with impunity in the mainstream and on YouTube. As members of these occult societies hold secrets from the general public, they operate in a public group think while in private many are practicing together in witchcraft and sorcery, and they have a fetish for speaking in Hegelian dialect while we the audience view the content. Where many of these societies maintain rites of passage, its members commit rituals in secret and in plain sight or hidden in plain sight that performed for the masses and cast spells on them using misinformation, disinformation, and improper propaganda.
Improper propaganda. That's the key to it. Propaganda is not wrong. Improper propaganda is wrong. Proper propaganda is great.
Since the early days of media being broadcast on television, we now are experiencing the modernization of our public airways under the guise of social media platforms like YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, Instagram, etc., and it all intersects out in these YouTube streets. This occult activity online that I am speaking of is a group of people aligned from different faiths, with some even being atheist, but the one common denominator is that they are all willing to do whatever immoral act to get the money or for the love of making money. These individuals will partake in any and every immoral and unethical activities, and at all costs or by any means necessary to, as they may say, get to the bag. I believe that the events are real, but a lot of the news being reported on is fake. I believe that real crimes are occurring, but the reports are being used to muddy up the investigations in order to provide cover stories for actual real crimes that have occurred. In this episode will add some insight into my experience with some pivotal figures operating in the public and private partnerships that shape and mold public opinion and popular culture.
Yes, 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 yes. activities, people.
Since the days of the 1960s, when leaders like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X spoke during the civil rights era, we are now seeing the final formations of a modern communist, Marxist, socialist society. This caste of people from different national origins and various walks of life believes in pillaging individuals who are not members of their societies. In many instances, these individuals are allied with foreigners in order to circumvent people with rights to this landmass of North America, and sadly the pillaging works because some of the people assisting are from inside the country, but have turned against the very people who are not aligned with the status quo or part of the latest fraternal gatherings at foundational black universities. I am speaking to you all about what people in modern social circles consider to be so-called black excellency.
Black ecstasy. I don't like nothing black, like I don't like nothing Hebrew. None of that stuff. I'm Israel only. Israel only. Melanated Israel.
The modern occult world, from my research on the topic, involves much fanfare on the ideas of material wealth and gains. Material from a certain perspective can only be viewed with the naked eyes as a marker for success. The idea of money over everything being the total marker of success can easily cause for people to lose all moral and ethical restraints. The caste system of American society and the social engineering of people who believe that those who have all the material must have God's blessing is nothing but false illumination. The Murder Doctrine series was made to dispel the false teachings of these occultist views in the so-called conscious community, especially online in the YouTube streets. Today in modern popular culture, a content creator is judged by how many subscribers he or she has or how many views they receive from users of how much people patronize or increase their wealth.
Patronize or increase their wealth. Think you making it because you got material stuff. That's why they coming at me. You ain't got material stuff. I never wanted material stuff. I come from the dirt. I done played in the dirt all my life. I walked through mud and all this stuff. Y'all afraid of this stuff. Can't mess up my Jordans.
The idea of by any means necessary is used even if it means the fraternity watching as their frat or sister sororities rob, rape, and pillage unsuspecting users. The fraternities use controlled opposition or fake opposing viewpoints as they patronize each other in secret and at the expense of the mass audiences that gather online. I always give reference to Tupac Shakur and his creating what he called Kill Illuminati, or killing the false illumination in modern hip-hop culture, where much of its methods comes from Hollywood and what modern pop culture has engineered to be signs of success in the mainstream. The occult world operating today under many organizations has no problem with the religious right to practice in things that the Bible speaks of as abominations. The abominations of these modern fraternities and sororities indulge in or fail to report on includes much of the adult sex trafficking and child sex trafficking that takes place in the occults and practiced by various black organizations, including religious institutions, and by celebrities and political figures. The allegations made against the clergy in the Catholic churches in the close of the 20th century and the black Protestant churches in modern society is directly aligned with many of the Greek fraternities and sororities and with some of the ministers tied to Masonic temples. Was Hashim Nzinga a member of a Greek fraternity or a member of the Masonic halls or affiliated with Prince Hall Freemasonry? The reason I pose that question is because even if he was not, he was unwilling to take a stance against organizations like the Universal Zulu Nation or to bring justice to rogue members like Afrika Bambaataa or Hassan Campbell.
Something happened and I'm getting out of line. We might have to go over verses again, but I'm doing my best to try to keep it straight. because some episodes I missed along.
There is nothing new under the sun, and one who studies the Bible will find that anciently the Bible speaks of certain deities used for sacrifices of children. The deities or false gods in the biblical accounts informs us of ancient temples where sexual magic was used by adults partaking in orgies, or in what the modern world calls eyes wide shut or the P. Diddy party, but all nothing but sodomite culture. Here we find the same story over and over with the Universal Zulu Nation and allegations made by Hassan Campbell and Ronald B. Stinger Savage. There has even been a rationale created for victims where Stockholm Syndrome is used to explain why so many fail to or wait to report certain crimes, or where they assist the victimizers in trafficking other minors and adults into the occult. Here is another case, and I find with Hashim Nzinga and the modern new Black Panther Party that the alignment of Pan-Africanism and cultures being blended together create a recipe for disaster in the so-called black community. I believe that if it is left unchecked, we will continue to have people like Hassan Campbell become heavy influencers over large flocks of people, all using brainwashing tactics and craft and sorcery to confuse the masses. These events in the YouTube streets since around 2016 has given power to deities and aligned with people who believe in goddess worship, which is called Mystery Babylon the Great in the biblical text. What is this mystery or secret all these organizations hide from the so-called black community of excellency? How are grown men and women brainwashed to bear witness to crimes taking place in these YouTube streets and offline, and yet we see almost nobody breaking the code of silence to bring any real justice? Instead, we see that people are complacent and under the total spells of the influence of content creators like Hassan Campbell and willing to do any and everything imaginable to obtain monetary gains. To most people, what is perceived to be success is at the expense of the youth who may be watching adult content, and to the adults who are not aware of what is being perpetrated. I will even say many of the elders who would be a voice of reason in all of this have been sacrificed for the love of money over everything. Since the death of Hashim Nzinga in 2020, my research has led me to some key reasons that I think may answer why he declined to assist in my movement online to challenge Hassan Campbell and to bring justice to his Afrika Bambaataa child sex trafficking allegations. I inquired to Hashim Nzinga asking if he could assist in the situation of what I believe to be a grand conspiracy and a scam, or for modern political terms, a massive grift that was formed online, starting with the allegations against Afrika Bambaataa, first by Ronald B. Stinger Savage and then by Hassan Campbell. I went to Hashim Nzinga after seeing the role Hassan Campbell was playing in the so-called conscious community online with platforms like Sahedar TV, Black News 102 and the House of Consciousness, and with ISUPK and Straight Black Pride. The events that have transpired since the death of the former chairman Khalid Abdul Muhammad and the atrocities being done would probably not stand under the former chairman, but we all have witnessed the progression of these organizations and the total lack of responsibility to advocate for any real justice when the political ties intersect.
Political ties intersect. Y'all know the real black atheist used to sacrifice real stuff and show the blood to his children and all of that. Y'all remember when I called him out on being a Mason? Him and some more of them on the Raw Squad cats.
I know I am making bold statements that some may try to discredit as conspiracy theory, but let me explain why I formed these conclusions as it relates to Hashim Nzinga, the new Black Panther Party, and what he told me when I asked to take a stand with the Universal Zulu Nation and allegations made by Hassan Campbell and Ronald Savage. If you have followed the Afrika Bambaataa Universal Zulu Nation allegations of child and adult sex trafficking since 2016, then you may have heard of Israel Doctrine Entertainment on YouTube. Ronald B. Stinger Savage and Hassan Poppy Campbell came out in 2016 alleging that Afrika Bambaataa was a sex trafficker of minors and that had molested them as teenagers with countless other child victims. At that time, Israel Doctrine Platforms was the foremost info activist, making information active on all things in the online conscious community.
I ain't got no position though, says the first writer to say Bambaataa was gay and date raping people. The witness protection guy, Khalil Amani.
In 2016, most of the online conscious scholars would mainly be frequented on Sonnetter TV, Black News 102, and the House of Consciousness out of Harlem, New York. Israel Doctrine, the digital pit boss, and in the black media later changed to Hip Hop News Uncensored, was the antithesis to a lot of what platforms like Sonnetter TV was promoting. Whether it was allegations of scamming the community or claims of unethical business practices, the Israel Doctrine entertainment platform at the time was growing as a force in YouTube streets. I want you all to remember that Digital Pit Boss was in a partnership with Israel Doctrine Entertainment. When we get more into my reaching out to Hashim Nzinga, I want this episode to all make sense on why I would think that Hashim Nzinga could help a movement my platform started in YouTube streets. The movement started by Israel Doctrine Entertainment was to find the whereabouts of a teenager reported to have been statutorily raped by Afrika Bambaataa in an apartment in New Rochelle in the area of New York City on April 1, 2013. The reported statutory rape is said to involve an underage victim retaliating and stabbing Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson, who was in the apartment at that time but said to be in another room and alerted by commotion that occurred during the stabbing, and that he also would receive wounds from the underage teenage victim of the sexual assault. I want to make another point here that there is a connection to the Hashim Nzinga and Frank Gehry of Sonnetter TV, with both being members of the new Black Panther Party under the tutelage of its former leader Khalid Abdul Muhammad. The new Black Panther Party speaks as follows. Hashim Nzinga, born July 24, 1962, in Midland, Texas, and appointed the NBPP's Chief of Staff in 1994, under the leadership of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Throughout the 1990s, he regularly accompanied Dr. Khalid as he lectured and battled the overt racism Americanized Africans consistently encountered throughout the country. I want to also give reference to the chairman of the new Black Panther Party that precedes Hashim Nzinga, none other than Malik Zulu Shabazz of the Black Lawyers for Justice out Washington, D.C. The degrees of separation between black religious organizations or state-backed charitable organizations and private foundations and non-governmental organizations in the Pan-African community of North America can sometimes be of no separation at all.
Can be of no separation at all. Oh, don't tell me I lost it. Here we go. Woo. I think I'm losing it. We'll start it right here. I gotta get a better program. This page ain't working. I want it to work.
When I say no separation, I mean that is depending on what the subject of the day is, or if it is relating to the so-called civil rights of people who identify as black and or of African descent. Here is some breakdown of Malik Zulu Shabazz. Malik Zulu Shabazz, born Paris Louis on September 7, 1966, is an American attorney. He has previously served as chairman of the new Black Panther Party. As of 2013, he is the current national president of Black Lawyers for Justice, which he co-founded. Shabazz announced on an October 14, 2013, online radio broadcast that he was stepping down from his leadership position in the new Black Panther Party and that Hashim Nzinga, the national chief of staff, would replace him. I want it to be clear that Israel Doctrine Entertainment LLC and the True Israel of God, the Mixed Multitude, the church teaches that the Bible is a book that deals mainly in nationalism. At Israel Doctrine, whenever we deal with people who speak on the topic of racism, we defer the topic to Israelite nationalism. At Israel Doctrine, we teach in the belief that the Bible is the best tool for our liberation, mainly for those who have been labeled in the United States as blacks, Negroes, or colored. Israel Doctrine and our ministries preach that not all people but many people who identify as black or African American are really what the Bible terms as the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Israel Doctrine teaches no hate for other races, but that if one of any national origin is baptized in the name of Jesus Christ in the church, which is the body of Christ as the Bible teaches us, those who submit and receive the Spirit of God become a new creature, or in simple terms a member of the church, which is the nation of Israel.
Let's see if we can get it. We can get it.
I have to lay out some of the politics of my organization to make a differentiation between what the Bible terms as an Israelite and many who go by the identification of Hebrew Israelite. The terms of Hebrew Israelite is a modern creation and a misnomer and not found anywhere in the biblical text as a compound word to denote the nation of Israel. Many have falsely mislabeled the church I founded and even myself to be a Hebrew Israelite, and here is where I make a distinct separation, as many Hebrew Israelite classes was used to interfere with the Afrika Bambaataa child sex trafficking allegations, yet produced no justice other than to promote Hassan Campbell and to allow for him and others to harm the Israelite nation and peoples of all walks with his actions out in the YouTube streets, which includes attacks on the minor children of other YouTube content creators, attacks on the deceased, bomb threats on public venues in New York City, harassment of residents in public housing in New York City, allegations of shootouts and all other manner of filth since coming out against Afrika Bambaataa and the Universal Zulu Nation in 2016. It is important that I add that Malik Zulu Shabazz, former chairman of the new Black Panther Party, witnessed and openly addressed Hassan Campbell's bomb threats made on an event being held with Senator TV in the House of Consciousness, and not one authority was informed to have Hassan Campbell charged with any of his cyber terrorism or crimes committed.
But they harass me daily. They want to put false charges on me like Layla Wheels. Y'all can put them on me. Y'all can do whatever you want to do. I know to stay out of jail, because y'all probably would kill me if I end up in the jailhouse. So I stay in my house. I put myself in jail.
After Ronald B. Stinger Savage, who was a former Democratic elected official in New York City Bronx District, was featured on the cover of the New York Daily News publication and then on Fox 5 News with Lisa Evers alleging that he was a childhood victim of sexual molestation by Afrika Bambaataa in 2016, everybody who grew up listening to hip-hop was paying attention. At the exact same time, Hassan Poppy Campbell was also alleging similar misconducts against Afrika Bambaataa and the Universal Zulu Nation, and both Hassan Poppy Campbell and Ronald B. Stinger Savage combined forces to hold a press conference on 125th Street in Harlem, New York, with Senator of Black News 102, Straight Black Pride, which was formed by the captain of Hebrew Israelite Church ISUPK, and Dodgy Diamonds TV. The press conference held for Hassan Campbell and Ronald Savage was a collaboration of various platforms on YouTube with support from social influencers from Young Pharaoh, Ali Muhammad, Frank Gehry, and other non-for-profit and for-profit groups, claiming that they were all bringing awareness to the communities abroad of the human rights violations involving child sexual abuse, murders for hire, bribery, and extortion of Afrika Bambaataa, and the cover-ups led over a 40-year period at that time in 2016 by members of the Universal Zulu Nation. At the time of the press conference, people was all out on 125th Street in Harlem, New York, standing in solidarity with Hassan Campbell and Ronald Savage and demanding that Afrika Bambaataa confess to the crimes of sex trafficking minors with a 72-hour ultimatum or face justice from the victims and members on the community. I want to make it clear that we are now in the year 2026 and not one criminal charge was placed against Afrika Bambaataa or the Universal Zulu Nation to date, but instead a civil action was placed into default against Afrika Bambaataa by a John Doe victim in 2025. I want to make it clear that not one of the organizations that stood out during the press conference updated the public on the overall resolve against the Universal Zulu Nation since 2016, 2017, and 2018. What we have all seen is a multifaceted operation of racketeering online with Hassan Campbell committing acts of cyber and domestic terrorism on New York City residents with allegations of shootouts and other incidents of swatting and homes being swarmed by local enforcement and even involvement of federal and state law enforcement.
Mm. As I said, what's understood need not be explained. So you won't hear much from me.
After doing my own research in 2016 into what Ronald B. Stinger Savage and Hassan Poppy Campbell was alleging against Afrika Bambaataa, I was able to get an interview with Hassan Campbell in 2017 on my now wrongfully terminated Israel Doctrine Reloaded YouTube channel. It is important that I say that at that time in 2017 Hassan Campbell was not anywhere close to the social influencer he has become in 2026, but instead he was totally rejected from all the platforms that was standing together at the press conference in 2016.
What's understood need not be explained, baby. And if y'all hearing it and understand it, it doesn't need explaining.
In 2017, I was a platform that was growing towards over 1 million views, and Hassan Campbell was still trying to find his niche in my YouTube streets. After recording a pre-interview with Hassan Campbell in 2017, I began to find many inconsistencies with his movements online and with activities related to Afrika Bambaataa, the Universal Zulu Nation, and the Zulu Warriors security detail company ran by Muhammad Stanley Bel Islam. The main issue that caused me to question Hassan Campbell was first that he was openly speaking of wanting to murder Senator TV for claims that he set him up to be murdered by the rapper Immortal Technique, who was alleging was a member of the Universal Zulu Nation at the time. I was wise to record the pre-interview in order that I could protect myself from any potential criminal activity Hassan Campbell was involved in.
Yes. I was recording a lot of people. Sadnetta was the main person I was recording because he was lying to the community about our conversations that we was having in private. Let's start back here. I don't know where to start really.
Hassan Campbell would later use my methods of recording him to record what he claimed was a telephone call about WAC 100 of 100 and Big U, the now incarcerated member of the West Coast gang, the Rolling 60s. Here is another reason why Hashim Nzinga and the new Black Panther Party is important to revisit in this episode of Murder Doctrine, because of the digital pit boss being my old partner in the YouTube streets, not only being directly tied to WAC 100 as a member of the Pacoima Bloods in California, but he is also the person who introduced me to Hashim Nzinga, who is the chairman of the new Black Panther Party before he died in 2020. Other content creators saw inconsistent statements coming from Hassan Campbell in 2017 about his efforts to take down Africa Bambaataa and the Universal Zulu Nation for child sex trafficking, and a scammer alert video was made against Hassan Campbell by a YouTube channel under the username of Conscious Speculation. If you know about the channel Conscious Speculation, but I have dealt with that in other episodes of this series that you should all go back and watch. I would fast have a falling out with Hassan Campbell after I personally advised him to start an organization to help children who were victims of similar crimes that he was alleging against Afrika Bambaataa, and then when he completely disrespected me, attacking my deceased mother.
Yes, I told him to help the children because you had people in boxing and other sports and TV and stuff that could be a part of his movement, and they could help children that was being touched or filth on or whatever. We get a house, so if somebody run away, they can come to his establishment and get a place to sleep or whatever, not just be on the streets. But he told me, F me. It was F me. I was like, wow. That's why he couldn't deal with me. He had to go deal with Farrakhan and Jay Prince and all the other people. And that's when he became a celebrity to you all. After he disrespected me, the first person to get him rise in the community because nobody else was messing with him.
I am very happy that Hassan Campbell did not start an organization for children now that I see what he has done to the community online and offline since he came out against Afrika Bambaataa in 2016. If Hassan Campbell was actually a real childhood victim of Afrika Bambaataa, we can all now see that he became a willing participant later in his adult life as a member of Muhammad Stanley Bell Islam Zulu Warriors Security Detail covering for sex trafficking of minors with Afrika Bambaataa, and as an adult member of the Universal Zulu Nation and an employee of the Zulu Warriors Security Detail Company, he would claim that he was tasked with murdering other underage teenage victims of Afrika Bambaataa. I would find out about the allegations of actual hits and murders ordered against victims by Afrika Bambaataa in my researching that Hassan Campbell did an interview on YouTube content creator Queen's Flip episode number 29 alleging that he was given a photo while he was an adult member of the Zulu Warriors Security of an underage Latino or Hispanic teenage boy by Afrika Bambaataa following a sexual assault of the teen and a stabbing incident with, in order for Hassan Campbell along with other Zulu Warriors Security Detail to kill the teenage victim of statutory rape. The cover-up of the statutory date rape of a teenage boy and then him stabbing Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson was reported to have happened on April 1st, 2013, in a New Rochelle apartment in the area of New York City. My research would later find that the stabbing of Afrika Bambaataa was reported by a nationally known federal witness after the now deceased DJ K. Slay called him about the stabbing of Afrika Bambaataa and his manager Ahmed Henderson and told him to publish the article titled Afrika Bambaataa, Gay and Date Raping? On April 2nd, 2013. What are the odds that a person that I saw as a partner in 2016, the digital pit boss, would actually not only introduce me to Hashim Nzinga, but also be the big homie to Whack 100 of 100 and at the same time Whack 100 be the former West Coast arm of DJ K. Slay Straight Stunting magazine? Can you all see the 6 degrees of separation with the movements of organizations and how after I asked for the teenage boy, they said stab Afrika Bambaataa, and how Hassan Campbell was not being arrested or Afrika Bambaataa arrested, but instead YouTube monetization was being used to scam people out of money and views.
Money and views. Y'all don't fear rape though. Y'all the new rape victims. How y'all doing out there? New rape victims. Y'all trapped in this culture, ain't you? Let me see if I can find what But I guess we'll start here. I don't worry about playing stuff twice.
Now we see clearly the new Black Panther Party, Universal Zulu Nation, the Prince Hall Masons, and the Moorish Science Temple once stood in solidarity with Malachi Zior, convicted of racketeering and child sex trafficking of minors in the so-called black community. Is this why Hashim Nzinga declined to involve the new Black Panther Party with standing against Hassan Campbell and Afrika Bambataha and the Universal Zulu Nation? Can everybody see the Masonic and Greek fraternal connection to these organizations and its direct lines and ties to Pan-Africanism? I want to make it clear that I am not disrespecting Hashim Nzinga here, as everything I have asked for the audience to ponder on is the degrees of separation to non-governmental organizations, religious institutions, charitable foundations, and how all of the organizations tied to Hassan Campbell and Ronald B. Stinger Savage in 2016 was political in nature and had a very questionable agenda that has blossomed now in 2026 into a multi-million-dollar racket involving YouTube, AdSense, and these YouTube streets. These rackets have not only been for monetary gains and grifting off of the general public, but this involves injuries and some potential murders and false statements, ordinance breaches with local and state law enforcement, and the total abuse and misuse of the American jurisprudence system defined as the courts. And there is a long list or trail of tears caused by the top content creators and social influencers with assistance from known federal and state informants and gangs with assistance from agencies of the federal
Government or in lease. On that now. Here we go. Oh, come on now, what's going on? What's going on? Here we go. What's going on? What's going on? A smiling gay tip. What's going on?
We see that Hashim Nzinga would have reason to decline to make a stand against the Universal Zulu Nation prior to his death in 2020, and we also see that all of this has been a grand conspiracy to cover up either crimes of real child and adult sex trafficking rackets or a massive grift against the Republic to squander funds from unsuspecting donors and patrons of these not-for-profit and for-profit entities. I hope that you all have been thoroughly entertained. Are you not entertained? Well, if you are, then you do not want to miss episode 8 of the Murder Doctrine series, which will feature none other than world-known holistic medicine Dr. Sebi. Hit the like button, share this video with friends and family on social media platforms, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification to be alerted when we are dropping the next episode. Become a member, leave a comment under the video. It helps keep this platform in the algorithm. Be the first to hear the greatest perspectives from the king of these YouTube streets.
So with that said, once again, hopefully y'all was entertained. It's for entertainment purpose and informational purpose. With that, I'm saying peace, love, and I'm out.